practice of medicine has been around for 8 months, with archaeological evidence dating back to almost 60,000 years ago, and it has undoubtedly experienced a tremendous amount of improvement and growth over the years. But in just the last 50 years alone, advancements in medical technology have completely changed medicine altogether for the better, and improved the quality of many lives through increased access to healthcare and wellness. And today I'd like to highlight one specific aspect of this technological innovation, which is the development of more accurate online protein modeling software. Because although we've made all of these advancements in the realms of biology and drug discovery, there has been an increase globally in disease outbreak. And essentially what this means for you and me is, as the number of infections rise, the number of developed treatments must also rise in order to meet that demand. And we've all experienced the effects of this truth. I mean, we all lived through a global pandemic not even 3 years ago. So now you may be wondering, well, what do proteins have anything to do with disease? They are important biological molecules with a number of different functions in the body. They're responsible for the structure, function, and regulation of the body's tissues and organs. Right now, you have over 10,000 different proteins working in your body right now that make you who you are and are letting you do the things that you want to do. Proteins are also important for determining whether an organism is in its healthy or its disease state. So mutations in protein structure is going to lead to dysfunctional proteins that can't carry out their intended function. And this is one method that could cause disease. In addition, proteins help make up your immune system, which is how your body's going to respond to and fight off infections. So in biology, the holy grail is structure determines function. And essentially what this means in the context of proteins is, when we know a protein's unique 3D structure, we can better predict its function in the body. So really quickly, I want to give you an overview of how protein structure works. Proteins are made up of monomers called amino acids that are going to link together through peptide bonds to form polypeptide or amino acid chains. But the process by which proteins get their unique 3D structure is a process called protein folding. And so once this preliminary polypeptide chain is formed, it can begin folding into different three-dimensional shapes like alpha helices, loop regions, or even beta pleated sheets. And the final level to protein structure involves the interaction between multiple different polypeptide chains. So they're going to continue folding, interacting, and binding with each other to form larger globular proteins. And so essentially, online protein modeling software can take a protein's unique amino acid sequence and produce an accurate protein structural model. Using that structural model, we can better predict the protein's function in the body. Using that information, we can better understand how related infections are going to progress through the body, and then develop better, more targeted treatment methods. And so I studied this for the past year in Dr. Chen's lab in the LSU Biological Sciences Department. Her research focus is staphylococcus. So has anybody in this room ever had, or do you know somebody that's ever had, a staph infection? So they're caused by this genus of bacteria, and the most prevalent human pathogen is called Staph aureus. So staph has colonized approximately 30% of the human population. On the skin and in the nose, it's harmless, but when it enters the bloodstream, infections are going to occur. So there's millions of documented cases of staph in the U.S. each year, but most of them are mild and can be treated with antibiotics. However, in some cases, staph can lead to serious or even fatal infections, with almost 20,000 deaths in the USA in 2017 alone. So you may be wondering, well, why is staph so successful as a pathogen or a virus? It's able to release these biological molecules called extensive virulence factors that are going to help bacteria cause disease and infect a eukaryotic organism like you or me. And among staph's many different virulence factors, its most significant are its 14 staphylococcal superinsulin-like proteins. I know this is a mouthful, so we're going to call them SSLs for short. So what SSLs are going to do is they're going to bind to specific target components of your immune system. And when they do this, they're going to be able to inhibit your immune system's response, leaving your body essentially defenseless as this infection is able to just progress. Like I said before, in biology, a protein structure determines its function. And protein structural models are available for all 14 SSLs online in the protein data bank. But while I was conducting my research, I found that the structural models available for 2 of the 14 SSLs, SSL3 and SSL4, were produced using truncated or shortened amino acid sequences. So essentially what this means is, if this is the complete amino acid sequence of SSL4, this entire section highlighted in yellow is missing from the current published model, which is pretty odd because proteins don't tend to have intrinsically unstructured regions. And because a protein structure is so closely related to its function, determining what these missing strands look like could enable a more comprehensive understanding of how they work in the immune evasion process. So in order to produce models of the complete amino acid sequences, I had to go through a number of different online protein modeling programs and softwares. And ultimately, I used iTaster to produce my final models. And iTaster is just a method of online protein modeling that combines homology modeling with protein threading. And using this software, I was able to produce these models with the complete amino acid sequences of SSL3 and SSL4. I gained confidence in my models after overlaying them with the pre-existing shortened models already available in the protein data bank. And as you can see, they align almost perfectly, which is pretty incredible and just speaks to how accurate my models really are. I was also able to produce models of just the missing strains. So if we look at these a little bit more closely, we can see the missing strain of SSL4 appears to contain only loop regions that are really irregular and unstable, so they're difficult to model, but they're very important for protein folding. Whereas the missing strain of SSL3 appears to contain, again, those loop regions, but also some alpha helices. And these are known to have a variety of different functions in the body. Most notably, they're involved in signal reception and signal recognition, making them very important. So essentially, it's likely that both of these missing strains likely do consist of structurally significant components. And so modeling them is going to enable a better understanding of how they function in the immune evasion process, but also how staph as a whole is going to progress as an infection through your body. So essentially what I've been able to do is produce models of these proteins that are accurate enough to be of real life use. And so medical professionals can use this information to now develop better, more targeted treatment methods. And this is especially important to staph as there has been a growing prevalence of methicillin-resistant Staph aureus strains in the US. These specific strains have attained antibiotic resistance, so our current drugs aren't as effective. So developing those new treatment methods has become increasingly important. And so by developing these models, we have just taken the first step towards solving this growing health concern. And so essentially, these online protein prediction pipelines are so beneficial to medicine because they enable quicker and more easier development of these protein structural models. It used to take labs years or even decades to accurately and experimentally confirm a protein structure model. But now we can do that same amount of work in much less time. Like I was able to produce my models in a mere matter of months, which used to be unheard of. But I think what's most promising is the fact that medical professionals are not the only individuals with access to this kind of technology. We all do online through the internet. So educating yourself or getting involved has become a lot easier and more accessible to everybody. And so together we can work together towards developing a society where access to medical treatment is available to everybody at a much faster rate so that we can guarantee the best health outcomes for everyone. Thank you.